organ systems of the body, there are 11. Briefly state the major functions of each system. Classify by organ system all the organs discussed, like what makes up the digestive system. You actually have to start with the labia, which is lips, and go all the way down to the anus, which is the end of the tube, so to speak. So that's what this is saying. Know the organs that make up that system. Identify the organs shown on a diagram or a dissectable torso. Unfortunately, we are unable to have cats anymore. It's not that they're too expensive. The problem is that they're not getting them anymore. And I'll be honest with you, the ones we've gotten in the last couple of years, they're the what do you call them? Feral cats. They have no meat on them at all. They're like so skinny that you really can't see what's inside of them anyway. We used to get people's cats, okay, that had to be put down or something. And so honestly, I know it sounds gross. I am a cat lover, so just know that this is just saying it the way it is. The cats were plump. It was easy to see all the different organs when you looked at the, you've got your mesenteric bibs that, for example, protect the soft tissue in the abdominal region. They had them nice and thick and fat, and you could see them. But in the feral cats, they were almost non-existent because they pretty much are made up of fat. And just so you know, the reason I have that door open, by the way, I see some of you fanning. We have swamp coolers. So with it being humid, it's going to be hot in here. And if that was closed, it's still, I mean, is there any air even coming out of that air conditioner at all? At all? Can you feel anything? No. Well, that's the fan. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, when I tried closing it up, it was like sweltering in here. Okay, so then it got to be where they always let the colleges, not the high schools, have what cats they did have, because the cats go to labs, the veterinarians, if they euthanize them, or if it's a catch and euthanization for the feral cats, then they go to either wards or Flynn, which are laboratories, and then they prep them to give to us to dissect. And the problem is that because there's fewer and fewer of them, they actually end up, and for those of you that have me in biology, you can understand this, the food chain is breaking down because we are encroaching, as is all cities, encroaching on the wild animals domain. For example, for us as coyotes, they are coming into neighborhoods and they're eating the cats, and that's what they are doing. That's why you see mountain lions and pumas and things like that, and bears down in our surrounding neighborhoods, because they're trying to find food to eat, because we are literally killing them off. So that's why they just don't have as many cats as they used to have, and because of that, they'll give them to the schools, the universities. Well, universities pretty much only deal with humans, but you do have your community colleges, and they get them first before we high schoolers get them. So sometimes it was like November before I'd even get them, and so our school just said, we're done. So we will dissect, but we'll be dissecting the organs, not the actual cats. If there's any way I can get them again, I will. I am actually actively trying. I just have a feeling it's a no, okay? So unfortunately, that's kind of where it's at with this. All right, and I can tell you that a lot of the colleges, the community colleges, are actually just doing it virtually. I haven't decided yet if that's the route we would do, because it's not the same. All right, so that's kind of giving you a heads up when it says in a dissectable torso, things like that. All right, so now we have levels of study. I will have handouts that will help you out for this chapter. I will probably have them lined up because I want to get the contracts out of the way first. So when you come in tomorrow, I'm 99% sure I've got them all ready to go. So when you come in and you see papers, stacks of papers, just take one of each, okay, and take your seat. And those are study guides, but they're already completed ones. You don't have to do anything with them. It might help you with your vocab, but it also might help you with your chapter 1 packet, okay? So I'll give you those tomorrow. All right, anatomy. Study of the structure and shape of the body and its parts. So that's all you're doing. You're just studying what, the parts that you can see, all right? But the physiology is how the body works, okay? Gross anatomy is just what it sounds like. Large, easily observable. So if you were taking notes or highlighting, all right, this is all I would put. Anatomy, study of structure and its parts, okay? That'd be it. Because I explain it, so you shouldn't need to write it down and remember it. And then physiology, how body parts function. How body parts function. Gross anatomy, large, observable. That'd be it. That's all I would highlight or write. I'll try to do that for each one of these so you start getting the idea. All right, microscopic anatomy. Small structures viewed with microscope. That's all you need on that, okay? So like we know that this is the esophagus, this is the stomach, and this is the beginning of the duodenum. What they did is they took a little chunk, you don't have to write that down. We took a little chunk out of the lining of the stomach, and there it is here. So what this is showing you is this is the internal part of the stomach, the interior, and this is the outside, okay? This is what's making up the outside. And this is the breakdown of the cells and what they do, okay? So you'll learn, for example, the names of all of this, all of these, and that's the anatomy part. And then I'll be telling you what they do. What does this do? You'll learn about the hydrochloric acid. You'll learn about the pepsidogen. All of that. That's what they do. Okay? Breaking down food, things like that. That's the physiology part. All right. This is something should be easy to memorize. All I want you to do is highlight chemical atoms. Cellular, just say made up of molecules. Tissue consists of similar cells. Organ, okay, made up of different types of tissues, not all the same. Organ made up of different types of tissues. Organ system, different organs that work together. That's all I would highlight or write. Now you can see, those of you that did not print out your PowerPoints, why you need them, because you don't really have time. You're still writing, and I'm moving on. Whereas if you have the PowerPoints, you just highlight what I say, and it's done. Do you understand? Okay. Now I'm going to talk about it. So everyone, you've taken chemistry, you know that everything's made up of molecules and of atoms. So that's the chemical level. That's the beginning of what makes up who we are. All right? You put the similar cells, similar atoms and molecules together, and they're going to then make cells. All right? But then the cells themselves are coming together because they're similar to make something. In this case, this is a muscle cell. This is a single muscle cell. That single muscle cell is made up of molecules and atoms. Do you understand that? Okay. Then when we move from that level, you put a whole bunch of these cells together, same cells, similar cells, put them all together, that makes up tissue. All right? Now, the tissue itself might mean it's a smooth muscle. It might mean that it is layers of your heart. Might mean that it's your heart. Actually, the heart's made up of a different type of muscle. But just understand that when we're talking about similar things, like same cells, the tissues that it makes up, like tissues that make up your skin, tissues that make up your smooth muscle, tissues that make up your skeletal muscle, that's what that's saying. It's just these cells come together and make up the tissue. But when we're talking about moving into the actual heart itself, the actual stomach itself, the actual skin itself, as in system, okay? When we're talking about, let's say the digestive system. Digestive system is made up of different tissues that make up the tongue and the roof of the mouth and your cheeks, that make up the esophagus, that make up the stomach itself, that make up the duodenum and the jejunum and the ileum, that literally make up different, and they're different tissues because there's different things going on in those tissues. For example, in the ileum, you've got pyrus, and you don't have to write any of this down, but I remember I told you I'd teach you so you understand. That's what I'm doing. So we've got pyrus patches. Pyrus patches are only found in the ileum, not the duodenum, not the jejunum, but the ileum, okay, that's your intestines, because that's where it wants to make sure. Pyrus patches are your lymphatic tissue, which is part of your ileum. So that's what I mean. There's different tissues that make up something. So the pyrus patches grab the rest, or tries to, as much more of the debris, anything that might get into your bloodstream, and your body says no. When you learn about your body, I swear, I get goosebumps all the time. You are going to just die of, oh my gosh, my body does that? I had no idea. No idea. So pyrus patches are huge. They kind of look like dust mitts or something, but they make up the internal lining of the ileum, and they literally grab anything that's trying to get through, which is usually by that time debris, because, you know, I mean, you're eating food that's been handled by people's hands, and you're going to find I'm very gross, all right? Because I want you to see it for reality the way it is. You eat fast food, and you go, oh, it's okay. They have gloves on. You know, those little plastic gloves? No worries. Well, how many of you have seen them go like that with their gloves, okay? Or wiping their hands with their gloves. They're still getting germs on your food. You're still consuming the germs on your food. You're breathing in toxins, you're eating germs. I mean, it is what it is. The body is set up to try to keep those things from going into your bloodstream. Specifically when you get down to the ileum, where most of your food is digested by the time you get to the ileum, these pyrus patches, multiple thousands of them, line the ileum to try to make sure that it grabs whatever should not go into the bloodstream. So, and that makes up, another type of tissue makes up the organ itself. Does that make sense? You understand? Okay. So different tissues can make up the organs. The organs come together and they make up the system. Digestive system. I just told you what all makes up the digestive system. Cardiovascular is made up of your heart, your arteries, your veins, And then, of course, what's inside of them, which deals with valves and stuff like that. But, you know, that's the cardiovascular system. Respiratory system actually begins with the nares, that's your nose, okay? It goes down into the trachea. Trachea then bifurcates and goes into the right and left lung. The right and left lung, it goes from the trachea and then it goes into bronchial, primary bronchial, secondary bronchial, tertiary bronchial, and then alveoli. And that makes up your respiratory system. You understand what I'm saying? And let me tell you, the alveoli, totally different tissue. Totally different tissue. In the cardiovascular, actually I forgot when I said veins and arteries, you also have capillaries. Totally different tissue, okay? They only have one layer versus, you know, 4. So those are your systems, all right? And last but not least, your 11 systems make up you, or a fish, or a dog, or a lizard. You understand? Those are your systems. Why do I go through so much trouble to teach that to you? Because you'll see it on your exam. All right, now we're going to break it down. Integumentary is a system. That's your skin, okay? Integumentary, just put in parentheses skin, okay? You don't need to highlight this. You know what the skin is. Again, don't highlight this. I'll tell you what to highlight. Forms the external body covering. You just put skin, you're good. You know this. Don't do this. Protects deeper tissue from injury. Okay? Duh, right? This you need to highlight. Synthesizes vitamin D. That you need to highlight. That's a test question. And no, you don't need to highlight this, but the location of cutaneous nerve receptors. We'll get into that later, okay? This deals, whenever you hear of receptors, these deal with your nervous system. A different system, right? But it actually has the ends of the nerves. That's how you touch. That's how you feel things, okay? You have actually sensory receptors. Now, cutaneous just is another word for skin. You have receptors that actually feel things, and that's your nervous system. And no, you don't have to highlight that. We'll get into that later. All right, skeletal. Protects, supports organs. Highlight. Protects, supports organs. Important, highlight, provides muscle attachment for movement. A test question that jumps into my mind is something to the effect of what provides movement of the body, and most people will put, you know, like your skeleton, but that's not true. It's actually your muscles. The skeleton provides support, the muscles attached to the skeleton, but I want everybody to take an arm and make a muscle. All right, this is your bicep muscle. Some of yours are bigger than mine. And that muscle contracts when, actually put your hand on it. Everybody put your hand on it. Now, make the muscle, bring it up. Can you feel how it got fatter? Yes, well, even if you don't have much of a muscle, you're young enough, you should be able to feel it. So it got a little fatter, some of you boys especially, or girls that lift weights, it got really fatter. What it did is it shortened, and by shortening, it's called contraction, it pulled the arm up, okay? And now it's relaxed. There's no, all muscles do is contract, that's it. They don't purposely relax. That you'll find as we go into the muscular system, it's a very in-depth, very, very, very in-depth. But the muscles will contract and then just on their own, these little springs loosen up, and yeah, they have springs. Wait till you see. You're just gonna go, what? Yes, they have springs, and the springs just loosen up, and then the arm flops down. You're gonna learn about antagonist, okay? When the muscle is this, and then you're gonna, on the other one is the, oh gosh, I just drew a blank. It'll come. Anyway, especially when we're studying it. Protagonist. I told you it'd come. You're gonna learn about the opposites, okay? But that's what you need to understand with skeletal. It is the attachment for movement. It's muscles attached for movement. And here you need to write this down. You not only need to highlight site of blood cell formation, FYI, I can't spell. I don't know if that's correct, but it's close enough. And I might, yeah, well, it's close enough. Hematopoiesis. Can you all see that back there? You can see it? The blue? Yay. Hematopoiesis is blood cell formation. Hematopoiesis is, you'll see this in 2 separate tests. Now and later. Hematopoiesis is blood cell formation found in the skeletal system. Understood? Yes? Okay. Skeleton also stores minerals. So, highlight, skeletal, supports, protects and supports body organs, provides muscle attachment, and I've told you for movement, but if you think you're going to forget that, then highlight that too. But I've told you it is your muscles that move you, not the skeleton. Site of blood cell formation called hematopoiesis, stores minerals. Yes, ma'am?
Like what minerals does it store? Like why?
When we get to that, you'll learn it. That's too much information. And when guys, this is just an overview. I'm not giving you details on things that you're not getting tested on chapter 1. You understand? When we get into the skeletal, it will tell you exactly what minerals and what they do. Got it? Okay, that's just it. All right. And by the way, you know this is your side. And notice it says, today we started on slide 1. Tomorrow it'll be slide, and I don't know what slide yet, because I haven't decided to stop yet. So, muscular, highlight locomotion, maintains posture, produces heat. You do need to know that. Locomotion. Your muscles are what keep your skeleton in an upright position, okay? You don't have to write this down, but your erector spinae, you have 3 of them. You have a lateral, left lateral, you have a central or medial, and you have a right lateral. 3 different strips, and they're called erector spinae, and they actually help keep the spine in an erect posture. Don't have to write that down. I'm just kind of helping you understand what that means. All right, and it is your muscles that produce heat. Your 98.6 average heat, that is your muscles. You might say, okay, well, how is that? Please understand you're going to get this again when we do the muscular system. I'm just trying to help you understand this so you'll do well on your test, okay? But the reason why your body is at a 98.6 average, okay, is because when muscles contract, they produce heat. I want everyone to take their hands, put them together, rub, so you feel the heat. Feel the heat? Okay, that's what's happening with your muscles. Muscles contract, heat, which is energy, is expelled. All right, make sense? All right, there you go. Okay. Nervous system. It is your control system. Nothing, I repeat, nothing can happen in your body. Nothing, unless it's told by the nervous system. If you stop breathing, are you pronounced dead? No. What has to happen before you're pronounced dead?
Your heart has to stop.
What?
Your heart has to stop.
Nope.
Oh, you have to be brain dead.
Brain, that's right. Until your brain stops firing, you are not considered dead. You know how you hear people are put on life support? They can't breathe on their own, they can't move, they can't talk, they don't do anything, they look like they're vegetables, but their brain's still firing. So they will not pronounce them dead. Alright? So, control system responds to both internal and external change. I want you to highlight that. Okay? It tells the inside of your body and the outside of your body what to do. Activates. You don't have to highlight this because you should already figure this out by this one. It activates muscles and glands. It activates everything. Okay? So I wouldn't highlight this. All right, I think this tells you what you need to know. Control system responds to internal and external changes. It does everything. It senses things and it tells things what to do. Bless you. Endocrine system. That is your hormones. Okay? Hormones. Okay? Endocrine system secretes hormones. It's a duh that it is a regulatory, okay? You should know that your body will, as long as there's nothing wrong with it, it will do what it's supposed to do regularly. So you don't have to highlight that. But the endocrine secretes hormones. What type of hormones are we talking about? Growth, reproduction, and metabolism. Okay? That's kind of everything, in other words. Growth, reproduction, and metabolism. One of the things that you will have to do, you might as well memorize it now, is you have to know what produces hormones. Your pineal gland, which is up in your brain, produces hormones. And not till we do the endocrine system will I tell you what hormones, okay? You just need to know what anatomical organs produce hormones. That's all you need to know right now. The pituitary gland. You're going to learn that the pituitary gland is everything, okay? That pituitary gland is like needing your heart. It's huge. You can't, in fact, there's no medicine, okay, like for example, thyroid. So, and I thank God for this. So when my right, it's called, not sure what that is. My right lobe, think of the thyroid as a bow tie. You have lobe, this is the tie knot part is called the isthmus. The left part is the left lobe. So my right lobe and my isthmus were removed in 2014 due to cancer, but they left the left one. Well, I went to the doctor because I started feeling, pressure and stuff in there and was kind of scared. And sure enough, there were 3 big nodes in there. So I had to go get a biopsy. I don't even know if you can still see it down in here somewhere. He tried to go along the crease of my neck. But they went in with 4 needles, had to scramble up the node so they could get a good bunch of stuff and brought it out. But I am not cancerous, so I'm really happy about that. But your thyroid is huge dealing with your metabolism. You don't have to write this down. I'm just helping you understand stuff, okay? You don't have to write that down. When we study endocrine, you'll learn all of that, okay? But like the thyroid deals with the metabolism, and there's pills. If your thyroid isn't working, which mine's not. Parathyroid, I'll teach you about. They're on the back side of the thyroid. I'll teach you about them later. Thymus glands, you're going to learn that the thymus gland is very active. You don't have to write anything down on that, but the thymus gland is very active when you are a baby and early childhood. It produces white blood cells, hormones to help combat infections, all kinds of really, really cool stuff. When we get older, it turns into fat. And you're going to learn why when we study cells. You're going to understand, or when we study the endocrine system, what happens. They're called T cells that the thymus makes, and they remember things and they attack things, and it's really cool. You're going to learn all about that. And then we have the adrenal glands. The adrenals sit on top of the kidneys. You're going to learn about them. Pancreas. Pancreas sits just below. It's tucked right underneath your stomach. Of course, you know about the testes and you know about the ovaries. But you know what? Everything except for the pineal gland and the pituitary can be self-corrected with medication if there's a problem. However, very rarely is there anything that goes wrong with the pineal gland, but the pituitary gets cancer a lot. It's more common than you know. And if you've got cancer in the pituitary, there's nothing. I mean, it's not a good thing at all, because there's nothing they can do to help you out at all. And that pituitary, you're going to learn, is so critical. But I do need you now. You might as well learn it now. You know what the different endocrine glands are. All right. You're going to see it again. Actually, all this stuff you're going to see again and again and again. All right. So you might as well learn it, and you're free. Tomorrow will be beans.